Mara and Clara were just more than friends. They were practically sisters. They lived in the same compound, shared meals, homework, and even secrets. From their nursery school days, they did everything together. Whether it was eating from the same lunchbox, failing the same math test, or whispering secrets during night prayers, they were inseparable. Teachers used to call them two halves of a mango, always sweet and always together. Clara came from a slightly more privileged background. Her parents worked with a big company and were well known in the neighborhood. Mara's side was different. Her parents were simple traders, managing their small shop and doing their best to provide for the family. But these differences never mattered to the girls. Their bonds were pure. After secondary school, things changed. Clara's parents were transferred to another city for work, and just like that, their bond began to fade. The goodbye was teary. They promised to call, to write, to visit. But as life would have it, distance widened more than just smiles. It carved silence between them. Messages reduced and stopped. Fast forward 5 years, Clara was now in her early 20s, dressed in a sleek blazer, driving her modest car on her way to finalize a company contract. Her makeup was neat, her confidence sharp. She had worked hard for this moment. As she waited at a traffic stop, something or someone caught her eyes. By the roadside, under the hot sun, sat a small wooden corn store. A woman stood behind it, dressed in faded jeans and a simple t-shirt, calling out cheerfully, "Sweet corn, fresh and hot." Clara squinted. That voice, that face, that smile. It was Mara. Clara blinked in disbelief. Could it really be her? Her old class president? Her best friend? Curiosity got the better of her. Clara parked and stepped out, heels clicking on the pavement. Mara looked up and her face lit up instantly. Clara! Clara, is that really you? She beamed, stepping forward, arms open wide. But instead of embracing her old friends, Clara pulled out her phone and started recording. Well, she said with a smirk. Guess who I just found? Our class president, the queen of school debates, now selling corn by the roadside. Isn't life funny? Mara's smile slowly faded. Her hands dropped. Her voice caught in her throat. Clara went on laughing bitterly. Please don't tell anyone we're friends. I roll with a different class now. I can't be seen with someone like you. Then she pulled out a 500 naira note and tossed it at Mara's feet. Take care of yourself or something. She got back in her car, slammed the door, and drove off with a smug and a proud looking face. What Clara didn't know was that Mr. Lawrence, the CEO she was going to meet for her contract day, had witnessed the entire scene from his own car across the street. He watched silently. He saw the tears in Mara's eyes and he made a quiet mental note. Clara strutted into Lawrence's holding with all the pride in the world. Her makeup was flawless, her perfume expensive, and her outfit screamed success. Today, she was here to secure the biggest deal of her career, a contract that would elevate her business and place her name among the elite. Inside the elegant waiting lounge, she rehearsed her pitch silently. This was her moment. Mr. Lawrence will see you now. She walked into the office with confidence, offering a polite handshake. Mr. Lawrence greeted her with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Please have a seat. Clara sat and handed over her file. Everything you need is in there, sir. He flipped through it. You have an impressive profile. Thank you, Clara beamed. My company has delivered excellence in all our partnerships so far. There was a moment of silence between Mr. Lawrence, and then he looked up. Between you and a woman selling corn by the roadside. Earlier today, Clara blinked, caught off guard. She scoffed slightly. Oh, that woman? Yes, she was an old classmate of mine. Mara. It was shocking, really. Mr. Lawrence said nothing, listening. She used to be our class president. Now she's on the street selling corn. It's just pitiful. I didn't even recognize her at first. Life really hit her hard, I guess. Still, Mr. Lawrence remained silent, his expression unreadable. I don't want to sound harsh, Clara added with a forced laugh, but I don't think someone like that should be associated with me anymore. We are not in the same class. Mr. Lawrence clapped his hands slowly. And did you ever stop to ask why she was there? Clara laughed. Sir, with all due respect, some people don't need explanation. She clearly didn't make much of her life. Mr. Lawrence stood up slowly, walked to the window. Miss Clara, he said, turning to face her. Do you know if she went to university? I heard she did. Clara replied, brushing it off. But look at her now. If she really did, she wouldn't be on the street. Another pause. Mr. Lawrence leaned back in his chair. See, well, thank you for coming, Miss Clara. I will get back to you later today. Clara stood still confident and smiled. Looking forward to it, sir. As she left, Mr. Lawrence watched her go with quiet disapproval. Back at the roadside stood Mara, was still tending to her fire, slowly roasting her golden corn on the metal grill. The sky had begun to turn orange, and the setting sun when a black SUV pulled up quietly in front of her. She glanced up at the tinted window, rolled down. Good evening, the man said. Good evening, sir. Mara responded politely. Can I get three? He asked, pointing to the fresh ones turning over the flame. Of course, sir. She wrapped them neatly in brown papers and handed them over. That will be 900 naira, sir. He handed her a crisp note. Keep the change. Thank you very much, she replied. I am very grateful. Then, after a pause, he asked, Mind if I sit and talk for a bit? Mara looked at him closely and nodded. Please have a seat. He stepped out of the SUV and sat on the small stool beside her. She was quiet but alert. You run this place alone? He asked. Yes, sir, I do, she said quietly. He nodded, looking at her hand. Steady and hardworking. You seem dedicated, he said. Hard work these days are rare. Mara lowered her eyes, a faint blush rising in her cheeks. He leaned in slightly. Will you be open to a business opportunity? Her eyes widened. Yes, sir. Mara sat on a one stool beside her small fire, her hands trembling slightly, not from fear, but disbelief. The powerful man who just bought come from her, the man sitting calmly next to her, had just offered her something she never imagined. A business opportunity, she echoed. Mr. Lawrence smiled warmly. Yes, I own a company that uses combat products. We've been exploring ways to support small businesses and source directly from the local market. Mara blinked, unsure if this was real. I noticed how clean your stand is, how fresh your corn looks, and how polite you are. You have something many people don't have, Mara. Genuine work ethic. Thank you, sir, she said, struggling to hold back tears. I've been trying to survive, she nodded. Tell me, did you go to university? I did, she said softly. Graduated with a first class degree in food science and technology. But every job I applied for told me I was either overqualified or didn't have the right connections. After a year of trying, I decided to start something small. This corn business, Mr. Lawrence, looked at her with admiration. That's impressive. Mara smiled faintly, still trying to process everything. So here is my proposal, he continued. Come to our factory tomorrow by 10 a.m. Let's see how you can fit into the supply chain. If all goes well, I want to support you. I want to expand you. Maybe even package and rebrand your corn product. You've got potential, he said. Mara barely slept that night. Her mind replayed the conversation over and over again, like a favorite song struck on repeat. She hadn't even eaten dinner, too full from hope. At exactly 9 a.m. the next morning, she closed her little corn stand, cleaned her hand thoroughly, and changed into the best outfit she had, a modest, neatly ironed blouse, and a long skirt. She arrived at the company gate early, clutching a worn brown bag that held her certificate with resume. The security man looked at her with skepticism. At first, until she mentioned Mr. Lawrence's name, his expression changed immediately. He made a quick call and then nodded. Go right in, Ma. He's expecting you. Mara walked through the grand glass doors of Lawrence Holdings, her heart thumping like a talking drum. The marble floors, polished walls, and scent of fresh leather overwhelmed her senses. A young receptionist greeted her warmly. You must be Miss Mara. Mr. Lawrence said to take you up straight. They entered the lift and in seconds she was standing in the executive office, the same one Clara had entered the previous day. Mr. Lawrence stood up as soon as she stepped in, offering a firm handshake. Good to see you again, Miss Mara. Thank you for the opportunity, sir, she said with a slight bow. He gestured for her to sit. I looked over at your qualification last night. First class in food science and technology. She nodded. That's not an easy feat. You have what we need. You understand both the technical side and the grassroots market. I want you to work with us to develop a new line of roasted corn snacks. Organic, hygienic, local flavor. We'll fund your setup, handle packaging, marketing, distribution. You'll be in charge of sourcing and quality control. Mara's mouth opened but no words came out. She finally managed a whisper. Sir, this is more than I ever dreamed of. He smiled gently. Well, sometimes life hides diamonds in dust, but they shine anyway. Tears filled Mara's eyes, but she blinked them away. I won't let you down. I know, he said simply. We'll start with a 2 month pilot. I've assigned one of our senior managers to work with you. Oh, and your monthly salary starts at 350,000 naira, excluding bonuses. Mara covered her mouth with both hands. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. As she stood to leave, Mr. Lawrence added, one more thing. Do you know a woman named Clara? Mara froze slightly, then nodded. Yes, we are childhood friends. I didn't expect her to react like that yesterday, but I've made peace with it. He nodded slowly. Good, because next week she'll be back here to renegotiate her proposal. Only this time you'll be sitting in the room, on the board as the head of our new local food initiative. Mara stood still, speechless. Life humbles the proud and leaves the patient. He nodded, then turned back to his file. As Mara walked out of the building, the receptionist handed her a new ID card. Mara, Project Director, Local Food Division. She stepped into the sunlight, her corn-scented fingers clutching her new identity. On the street, car passed, people hustled. The world moved, and somewhere not too far away, Clara's phone rang. Unknown number, she picked. Hello. The voice on the other hand was sharp. Miss Clara, the contract with Lawrence Holding has been cancelled. Your behavior yesterday was witnessed. Won't be needing your services anymore. Her hand trembled. Wait, what? Who said? How? But the line went dead. She stood frozen on the sidewalk, her world shifting beneath her. Meanwhile, Mara returned to her old corn store, not to sell but to pack up. A new chapter awaited her. She bent one last time to blow out the fire and whispered to herself, Thank you, Jesus. This is only the beginning. The following week unfolded like a dream for Mara. From the dusty corner where she once roasted corn under the harsh sun, she was now walking through factory floors, inspecting machines, talking to engineers, attending board meetings with managers who used to ignore roadside vendors like her. She had been assigned an office, small but neatly furnished, with her name boldly written on the glass door. Mara Okafor, project director. She will sit behind the desk daily, overlooking files, developing recipes, analyzing corn samples, and planning the launch of her own brand, Marvella Corn Delight. Mr. Lawrence wasn't just a mentor, he became her silent backbone, pushing her gentle into spaces she never imagined for herself. But the real twist was still brewing. Clara's world, on the other hand, was falling apart. After the contract cancellation, word had spread Mr. Lawrence was respected in the industry. His disapproval echoed like thunder across client lists, and other companies began withdrawing offers from Clara's firm. Her team members questioned her. Her investors started pulling funds, and for the first time in a long while, Clara's confidence cracked. But pride held her tongue. Then came the invitation, an industry conference where Lawrence Holding would unveil a new product line and introduce their new project director. Clara received the email without glancing at the speaker list. Desperate to salvage her brand, she decided to attend. Maybe network, maybe beg softly for a second chance. On the day of the event, the venue buzzed with elegance. Business elites, media houses, influencers, and investors gathered under sparkling chandeliers. Clara walked in wearing her most expensive outfits, forcing smiles, holding her head high, despite the whispers she heard behind her back. Cameras flashed as Mr. Lawrence stepped into the stage to deliver his speech. Ladies and gentlemen, he began, we are unveiling a story of resilience, vision, and humility. Please welcome the brand behind Marvella Condilight, our new project director, Miss Mara Okafor. Gasps filled the room, cameras clipped rapidly. Clara, standing at the back, turned slowly, and there she was, Mara, wearing a simple but graceful gown, stepped up with confidence, her natural hair in a neat bun, her smile warm but calm. As she stood at the podium, her eyes scanned the room and paused. Right on, Clara. Their eyes locked for a heartbeat. Mara didn't flinch. 5 years ago, she began. I was just another unemployed graduate roasting corn to survive. I was mocked, I was dismissed, but I believed in work, in dignity. And today, with the help of a man who saw value in the unseen, will bring you Maravella, a taste of home, a symbol of growth. The hall erupted in applause. Clara couldn't breathe. Her chest tightened. Her pride choked her. People began whispering again, this time about her. Some even asked each other, isn't that the girl who mocked her on the street? She turned quickly and exited the hall. Outside, she sat on her car and stared blankly ahead. Meanwhile, inside, Mara walked off stage and greeted by a line of journalists. Flash after flash, compliments after compliments. Investors wanted to meet her. Women's organization wanted her to speak at empowerment events. She had become the face of hope and hard work. Later that night, after the event had ended and the guests had gone home, Mara stood alone on the empty stage, staring at the rows of chairs. Mr. Lawrence approached silently. You did well today, he said. Mara smiled. Thank you, sir, for everything. He looked at her with pride. Clara, we learn. Some lessons take longer to read the heart. But you, Mara, you've already passed yours. She nodded slowly. I don't hate her, sir. I just hope she finds herself again. Mr. Lawrence patted her shoulder. That's the difference between you two. Your heart didn't harden when the world turned cold. As the light dimmed, Mara walked off the stage for the last time as a former counselor. She was now a rising star, and this was just the beginning. The next morning, headlines told Mara's story before she could. Every major blog, newspaper, and online platform carried the same title in one way or another. From street to stage, counselor turns company executive overnight. Meet Mira Okafor, the woman who roasted corn into gold. Clara's humiliation at industry gala after mocking friends goes viral. The internet didn't hold back. The bystander who has recorded Clara's mocking video at the roadside finally posted the clip. Within hours, it went viral. People were outraged. Comments flooded in. How can you shame someone trying to make an honest living? This is why we need more people like Mr. Lawrence. Some recognized Mara and began sharing their personal stories of seeing her work tirelessly. Always polite, always humble. Clara woke up in a phone filled with notification, not praises, but condemnation. Her name was trending for the wrong reason. The video clip was everywhere. Clients were calling not to work with her, but to cancel. Her office was quiet. Her staff avoided eye contact. One assistant finally summoned the courage to ask, Madam, is it true that you mocked Miss Mara publicly? Clara's voice cracked. It was a misunderstanding, but even she didn't believe it. For the first time in years, she cried, not from pain, but from shame. She remembered their childhood, the time Mara gave her food when she forgot hers, the night she helped Clara sneak out of the dorm to make a phone call home, the endless support, the laughter. What happened to her heart? How had pride made her blind? Meanwhile, Mara's life was shifting quickly. Mr. Lawrence enrolled her in a short business executive course, and she was now managing a small team under her new department. Her com brand, Maravella, was entering supermarkets in Lagos and Abuja. She hired local women from the community to help her, giving jobs to widows and single mothers. People began stopping at her street, asking for photos, telling her that she was an inspiration. And yet she stayed grounded. She still helped her mother in the small shop during weekend, still greeted everyone respectfully, still roasted corn on some evening, not because she needed to, but to remember. Then one evening, as she walked out of her factory office, she saw someone standing quietly near the gate. A familiar face. Clara. She looked worn out, makeup free, eyes swollen. Can we talk? She asked softly. Mara nodded. They sat on a bench nearby, away from the traffic and curious eyes. Clara didn't speak immediately. She just stared at her hands. I don't deserve to sit next to you, she began. I don't deserve your forgiveness. Mara said nothing. I let the world corrupt me. I forgot who I was, who we were, and the day I saw you, I didn't see my friend. I saw my own insecurity staring back at me. I was cruel because I was scared. Mara finally spoke. I wasn't angry that day, I was hurt. Not because you mocked me, but because you forgot everything we shared. A single tear rolled down Clara's cheek. I'm sorry, Mara. Not for the deal I lost or the embarrassment. I'm sorry for losing you. Mara took her hand gently. We all lose ourselves sometimes, but we can choose to find our way back. Clara looked up surprised. You are not angry? Mara smiled faintly. I have too many blessings to waste any space in my heart on bitterness, but I appreciate the apology. Clara exhaled shakily. Can I earn back your friendship? Mara looked at her with calm eyes. Friendship takes time, but healing starts now. They sat quietly, the sun setting behind it like it did the day Clara drove away laughing. Only this time she wasn't laughing. She was healing. And Mara wasn't watching with tears, but with peace. As they stood to leave, Clara whispered, Thank you for not turning your back on me. Mara nodded. That's what real friends do. They don't turn their back on friends. The week followed quietly for Clara and for Mara. Everything that she has worked for was coming back to life. Clara vanished from the limelight, deactivated her social media, and pulled out of all public engagement. Her once booming consultancy suffered, not just from the viral video backlash, but because her father's company had officially suspended her from pending contracts, urging her to rebuild her personal values before representing the family again. For the first time in her life, Clara experienced the sting of public shame and personal emptiness. She began volunteering at a local orphanage, not for publicity, but because she needed to reconnect with the world beyond pride. She swept floors, washed dishes, helped the children with homework, and rediscovered the part of her she had buried beneath arrogance. Meanwhile, Mara's name rose like the morning sun. She was now the face of resilience in local media. She was invited to speak at empowerment conferences, featured on the cover of women's businesses magazines, and quoted in motivational reels. Her com business, Maravella, secured deals with supermarkets in Lagos, Abuja, and even Port Harcourt. She had grown from a roadside vendor to a business owner with over 30 employees, most of them widows and struggling single mothers. Still, Mara remained humble. She continued helping her mother shop on weekends and even roasted corn on her spot occasionally just to stay grounded. Then came another turning point. One morning, Mr. Lawrence invited Mara into his office. We are launching a mentorship program for young women entrepreneurs, he said, and I want you to lead it. Mara blinked. Me, sir? Yes, you, he smiled. You are not just a success story, Mara. You are a beacon of hope, and our partners want you to represent the company at our annual gala. We'll be celebrating your journey. The gala was unlike anything Mara had experienced. Held at one of Lagos' finest hotels, it was attended by top industry leaders, influencers, and media houses. Banners displayed. The consular who changed the narrative. Mara arrived in a deep blue gown, her natural curls tucked behind her ears, walking with quiet confidence. But what stunned the room when she walked in with was Mara. No makeup, no heels, Just a simple dress and humility of a woman transformed. Gasps filled the hall. Cameras turned. People whispered. But the message was clear. Reconciliation had happened. When Mara took the stage to speak, the room fell silent. She looked around, her voice steady. Success isn't about applause or position. It's about purpose, about remaining kind when life hands you fire. It's about roasting that fire into something that feeds you, not just your stomach, but your soul. She paused, eyes locking briefly with Clara. I was mocked for selling corn, but that corn gave me a future. And to the one who mocked me, thank you. Because that day taught me how to forgive, how to grow, and how to turn ashes into oil. The applause was thunderous. Even Mr. Lawrence stood up to clap. Clara wiped her tears, overwhelmed. It was no longer about revenge. It was about redemption. Months passed, and the story that once stirred public ridicule became one of the most shared stories of inspiration in the country. Mara and Clara were now inseparable again, not as childhood friends trying to relive the past, but as grown women building a future rooted in purpose, not pride. Together, they launched a foundation called Roots and Wings, focused on supporting young women in business, especially those starting from the bottom. The foundation offered micro grants, training and mentorship. Mara handled the community development and grassroots outreach. Clara, using her marketing skills, handled visibility, media partnership, and expansion strategy. The media dubbed them the United Sisters of Impact. On a sunny day, they sat side by side under a mango tree in front of their community center, sipping zobo and watching a group of young women practice their business pitches presentation. Mara peeled a roasted corn with a smile and nudged Clara. Remember the day you threw 500 naira at me? Clara groaned and covered her face laughing. Oh no, don't remind me. That is still the lowest moment of my life. Mara grinned and whispered, I framed it. Clara gasped. No way. Mara nodded proudly. It's hanging in my office. Not because it hurt me, but because it reminded me how pain can birth purpose. They both laughed. Just then, a little girl from the training program ran up to them holding a book and a pen. Auntie Mara, Auntie Clara, please can you sign my notebook? You both are my heroes. Mara and Clara looked at each other with softening eyes. They knelt beside her and signed the notebook, adding a small message. Never be ashamed of your humble beginning. Let it power your greatness. Later that night, as they walked through the office together, Clara paused by the framed 500 naira note on Mara's wall. She stared at it, then turned to her. You know, God used that moment to break me and rebuild me. Mara smiled, placing a hand on her shoulder. And He used it to build me too. Forgiveness isn't always for the other person. It is a gift for you. Give it to yourself. From a roadside corn stall to international recognition, from mockery to mentorship, the story of Mara and Clara reminded the world that pain does not define destiny. What does? Resilience, grace, growth, and choosing love when revenge seems easier. Sometimes the person who laughs at your downfall today will stand beside you tomorrow and help you lift others. And the very thing that was meant to humiliate you might just be the fire that launches your purpose.